Welcome back. Well, with the coyote situation in our community, we decided that we should have David Peterella on from the Laguna Beach Police Animal Services, who can tell us a little bit about the situation and what we're dealing with. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So yes, as I mentioned, coyotes are a significant issue here, and I was just explaining to you that in my own yard, just outside in the front yard, we found a little carcass.
Yeah.
We don't know what it was, but assuming it was maybe a rabbit or, like you said, a squirrel.
Yeah.
So tell me what is happening.
Well, we've had a kind of an increase in coyote activity lately, and it's kind of falling on two parts. In general, I think that we're going to see a lot of coyote increase or activity increase because of all the rain we had last year. It's going to bring more plant life. That's going to be more plant eaters. And those are always going to be prey animals, and that's going to bring more predators. I think over the past 5 years, we saw this kind of gradual decrease in the number of little animals, and that we kind of got used to that. And now we've had all this rain, and now all of a sudden we have all these squirrels and all these rabbits.
I see.
So I think in the foreseeable future, we're going to see more coyotes. In specific, we've had an increase lately in some coyote activity. And it's been pretty much focused on one individual animal that we've been able to identify. He's very, very sick. He looks terrible.
Oh.
And he's been attracted to one specific area. It's a fairly broad area, but we've known that there's been a cat in this area for some time.
Ah.
And so there's, I think, a reason that this particular sick coyote has been after this particular outdoor cat.
I see. So what are, if you said a particular area, is it closer to where there's more wilderness, water?
No,
What's the
it's
situation?
just outside of Gate 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not the only place. I mean, they can be everywhere.
They can be anywhere, and they are. And that's just where we've got the most current activity.
Okay.
Or identified activity.
Okay. So if we see a coyote, what are we supposed to do?
We need to be aggressive. Yell at it, throw things at it. Just be an obvious presence. Nature kind of requires that there be an apex predator. And we've kind of devolved into this mindset of kind of live and let live. But coyotes don't think that way. Most people, when they see a coyote, they do one of two things. They either ignore it and think, it's not bothering me, I'm not going to bother it, or they kind of retreat, they go back home. And in both cases, that coyote won that confrontation. It wasn't a confrontation to you, but it was to him, and he won it. That's now his area.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we need to reclaim our space.
What are some things that, if people have dogs or cats, are some precautions that they can set up?
Keep your pet on a leash when it's outside, and keep it on a short leash. Keep it on a 6 foot or less leash. That's the law, but that's just good common sense. It's been a few years, but we have had a history of coyotes attacking dogs that have been on those long 6 or 12 foot extended
You're talking about
leashes.
those ones where they're just going to let your dog go forever?
Yeah,
Okay.
and people tend to not pay attention to their dog when they're on those leashes. They spend a lot of time on their phone or talking to friends. Keep your dog with you. Even a little old lady is still way, way bigger than a coyote, and he's going to think twice about going after something that is next to something that's much bigger than him.
Okay, so it's not necessarily they're going to be attacking the human. It's whatever the animal is.
No, it's coyotes live in a world of cause and effect, and they know that they're vulnerable. In an ongoing coyote study here in Orange County, we found that really the biggest coyotes we're seeing are about 35 to 37 pounds. So they're really not that big. So even a small person is 3 times the size of a large coyote. And they get that, whereas we not, because they do look intimidating. They get that they're vulnerable. They don't get to go to a doctor. They don't recover. If they're injured, they're very likely going to die.
Right. And then I understood that coyotes can jump like 6 feet.
They can.
So if you have a fence, you're still not out of the woods.
You're not. One of the things that I recommend is, if you get like terracotta potted plants, put them along the top of your fence. It's decorative. But the noise that it makes is hopefully a deterrence and B, an alarm.
Okay. Oh, I see. Going forward now, what are some things that you guys are doing?
It's mostly public education. In the old days, when we first started really dealing with coyotes, a lot of people wanted us to just eradicate them, and that doesn't work, and it never has. There just isn't a program of eradication that's ever worked. And so now when we have our meetings, people talk more in terms of being aware and public education. And that's really what needs to happen. People tend to get a little bit on the lazy side. If they haven't seen a coyote in a long time, or they haven't heard of any problems in a long time, then they kind of get a little bit lazy. But coyotes are opportunistic animals. And so they will wait, and they're patient. And the reason they're successful is because they are adaptable. We tend to get stuck in very predictable patterns.
Okay, and then I understand that there have been probably more calls lately seeing the one that you're talking about, but they can anticipate seeing more over the coming months because it's going to get warmer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now is the time when coyotes are being, the pups are being born. And so in the spring, well, late spring, early summer, they're going to start coming out, and by fall, you'll see the young adults now moving off onto their own, and that's probably when we'll see a lot of activity. It's in the mid to late fall.
All right, and then what is the actual protocol? So if there is some sort of threat, what is the protocol for them?
It's hard to give a blanket answer. It's kind of an individual basis, and it depends on what the coyote is doing. We want to maintain some kind of a balance. Again, when we get back to people talking about wanting to remove or eradicate coyotes, if, for example, there are 25 coyotes living in Laguna Woods and we remove 5 of them, doesn't mean there's 20 coyotes living here. It means it's room for 5 more. And these are 5 that we don't know what their behavior is like. So it's the devil we don't know. So we'd rather work with the devil we know than invite in a devil we don't.
I see. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for the information. And you did mention education. So is there someplace they can go for that education?
Yes, you can go to the Laguna Beach Animal Services website and download information. I'm in the community every day, and if you see me, flag me. If I have to talk to one person at a time to get the message out, then that's what I'll do.
All right, great. Well, thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
All right, so remember that coyotes can jump a 6-foot fence, so be careful, and also keep your dogs on a very short leash. We'll be right back.
Changing my life.